Hi, I'm Dr. Gail James, your trauma therapist here. Thank you again for tuning in to From Trauma to Triumph. I'm here today once again with my son, my trusty old sidekick, Calvin Sean Tommy on the second. I gave you a whole name. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit today about how trauma affects us and what you can look for in others to see to identify if they're dealing with some kind of traumatic episode or reliving some kind of traumatic episode. So trauma can significantly impact any relationship you have, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a mother and son, whether it's a mother and daughter, whether it's a child, auntie, whatever. It affects every kind of relationship, even your coworkers. It's difficult to maintain trust and it's difficult to maintain healthy intimacy and you experience emotional vulnerability, which is something we don't like to do after we've been traumatized, often leading to issues with communication, attachment styles, and overall connection with a partnership due to lingering feelings of fear, anxiety, distrust stemming from your traumatic experience. So let's first talk about difficulty with trust, because you know me and you are twins. And I know both of us have issues with trust. I due to my traumatic experiences, I have a very hard time trusting people. And then once I get to trust you, I am okay, but overall, it takes a moment. And you have to look at it from my perspective, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Kelvin. My perspective comes from the people who are supposed to love me the most failed me. So when you are saying you're gonna be my friend and we cool and you got me, and you're like, yeah, girl, I got you. I'm looking at you sideways like, do you really? And so those are my difficulty with trust. And you can elaborate a little bit more on trusting and what that looks like when you experience trauma.
Yeah. With trauma, trusting is hard. It's one of them things where once you trust, especially coming from just people we are, where if I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm all in. You you set expectations.
I like that.
So when expectations are set, it's like a saying to say. So if I put trust in you, so maybe that is fulfill a task, does it support me on my back, whatever it is I'm going through. And I say, I trust you. And I put my trust in you. And then that trust has been broken. I'm now reluctant to trust at all. And so what happens is that trust starts to go over into those relationships, like you said. So that trust goes into friendships. And so, like you said, that's intimate relationships. That could be family, that could be anything, because it normally stems from the ones that are closest to you. So the ones that are closest to you, once you feel that sense of betrayal, that disappointment, that oh man, my expectations have not been met. I've been let down. That let down then turns into, oh well, okay, now I don't trust anybody. You could be the best thing that happened to me. You can be the best thing walking. You can give me the best story in the world, and I'm silent. And you're like, okay, I'm just waiting for you. But when you do, because I know you're gonna do it. When you do, I'm already prepared. So what happens is that you can't embrace the positive, the people that may have a positive intention. It's hard for you to take them because now you're looking at them like, you kind of remind me of them. And so they could be very well be genuine people. So I think that's how it affects you when we think trauma from like trust. When trust is gone, it's gone. Yeah. And trying to rebuild that trust can sometimes be an uphill battle. And it could be battling against the inevitable because you may never be able to get that trust back.
I agree. I agree.
That's situational.
Man, I knew you said we could break at any time. You ain't got our mics on, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did that for a reason.
Oh, okay. Is just checking.
Wait, what?
No, he could cut it off. He could click, right? You could click. Oh, he didn't have our mics on. But I just thought I wanted to make sure before we keep going. So when we talk about, you said something very pivotal. You spoke about family. And see, for me, a lot of times we allow family members to be disloyal or mistreat us because we have this thing. Oh, they're family.
Excuse it.
No, no. If you toxic,
Don't matter.
I don't care. Mama, daddy, sister, baby, brother, uncle, cousin, you got to go. Because this the same rule applies. If and this is why when you said it comes from the people closest to us, it's so impactful because the people closest to us are ones we expect to love us and appreciate us the more.
Mhm.
And we supposed to be able to rely on these people. When these people betray us, it it tarnishes our view
Mhm.
on others. So if you this close to me and you could do this, who is this stranger that tells me they're gonna have my back?
Yeah. Can't even believe that. Completely alter your perception on them as individuals. And like you said, like we were saying, it starts with the closest. And the reason why it becomes difficult for the outsiders is because if they were close to me and they could do that or betray me in that manner, okay, you don't even know me. You have no ties to me. So what are you? Exactly.
So the next one is avoidance of intimacy. So a lot of people look at intimacy as just sex, but it's not. Intimacy is being vulnerable, being able to trust somebody with that vulnerable part of you. I have an issue with being vulnerable. At this point, I'm only vulnerable with a few.
Right.
I can say, I say all the time, my circle is so small, it's a line. And the line is about this long. So I do that because when you have told people your story, I have a severe traumatic story, some of which you are a part of.
Yes.
And when you've told people a story like that and something in the relationship doesn't go right for whatever it may be, and then repeat stuff, they repeat your innermost darkest secret to others, you're like, what? So it it gives you that feeling of incapability of being able to be vulnerable with somebody else, being able to be intimate with somebody else. Okay, can I trust you? Are you going to actually let me be this intimate with you? Intimacy is sharing thoughts and goals and dreams and the deepest innermost things of your being. Yes, it can be sexual too, but the part of intimacy, if you feel like you've been betrayed in that area, you tend to not want to be intimate.
No, that's very true. And unfortunately, like just coming from a place of trauma and that the lack thereof of maybe expressing um that intimacy and then you know what I'm saying, it not being received in a manner that's positive and then it turns out negative. Okay, I confide in you with some of the deepest things that I've dealt with along the way. And you turn around and you take my information and you go and you spread it. And these are things that are deeply personal to me. So then when you're around people, and it's the same concept. Now it was, say you've been involved with someone who does mean well and they actually are curious, not just to know what's going on and be nosy or to just have fuel to the fire to throw back in your face when things don't go right or at the slightest inconvenience. Now you don't know how to receive them because then people don't understand what emotional availability is. And so what happens is you're not able to be emotionally available. I can't be available to you because in order for me to be available, I have to be vulnerable. In order for me to be vulnerable, I'm open.
You just spoke.
So I'm not going to be open if I've been open before, and sometimes it's a lot of people. A lot of people on the chart where they were open to multiple people, and so okay, how many times
Am I going to have to keep being open?
in a sense, The soul's hot. Baby touch the soul. I'm when he touched my soul.
Before I
Understand that it was hot. So in a nutshell, that's just not something that you're open to, like having that level of trauma. As far as intimacy is concerned, it does affect those personal relationships. It makes it harder for them to maintain. And when you come from that, you're gonna be thought of as cold. You're gonna be thought of as nonchalant. You're gonna be thought of as uh, just very harsh, but you're misunderstood.
And I like that. I like that because here's what it takes you back to. In my situation, when you've experienced abandonment and rejection, those things hurt. And so if I feel like I'm making myself intimate with you, or I'm approaching you, or I'm trying to show you some kind of level of intimacy, and you're rejecting me, now you take me all the way back to my childhood,
Right,
where I was abandoned, rejected. So now I'm feeling abandoned and rejected. So now you wondering why I don't want to talk, why I don't want to have conversation, why I don't want to even put my hands on you. Yes, that all comes from because of how you made me feel, because you took me back.
Yeah, and we even take that a step further. It's like, well, not only did you take me back, but now in that moment, I'm not seeing you. You're a reflection of that. So
my mama, my daddy,
everyone else but who you are in front of me. And so I can't take you for who you are because I can't receive you any other way. And so that's what it is. It's not only that vulnerability and that emotional availability, but it's being able to be receptive. Like I can't receive you if you're showing me things that are the remnants of what I've experienced in my past. But and I know we'll touch on you won't be able to even recognize these things that we're talking about if you don't even trauma is there to begin with.
That's a word. That's a word. And that goes into knowing who you with or knowing who you dealing with. You know, the Bible says that I know those who labor among you, but that's knowing those who are around you. Know who those people in your circle are. Because if I'm in your circle and you know my past, then you understand I can't handle Dr. James like I handle everybody else. Dr. James a little fragile. I got to be a little more careful of what I do and how I do it because I could take a back with.
Yeah, quick and easy and unintentionally. But that's where that important comes in to know who around you and how they need to be handled and what speaks to them and what doesn't and what they've gone through to get where they are and know where they are. Because you could be talking to me from a healed seat and you're talking to a broken me. So what you're trying to get across to me, I can't receive that because I'm going to deflect. I'll probably throw it back on you. I'm going to blame everybody else aside from me as an individual. It's everyone else who's going to be the problem.
Except you.
Except you.
I love it. I love it. And though we talked about this before, but hypervigilance, I like hypervigilance because I know I do it. I constantly scan people when it comes to for the potential of threat leading to a relationship or leading to misinterpretations of whether it's a partner or friend, their behavior or on any unnecessary conflict. I'm hyper vigilant. So I'm always trying to like, okay, I'm a tread lightly because I don't want to get in it. So I want to make sure and that hyper vigilance comes from what we've been through.
Yeah.
And because that comes from what we've been through, you get skeptical and nervous as to how you deal with others. And it affects because sometimes people look at you crazy like, why is she so standoffish? What they looking for? You know what? But it's the experiences, the things you've been through.
Yeah, it's self-protection.
That's it. In a nutshell. In a nutshell.
I've been through things personally where now I don't go in a room where I don't hit each wall, each corner to know who's there, what's going on. I have to know. And so that's just some of what I've been through. I'm a high alert. I'm a very tense person because I've come from so many things, so many tense situations that I didn't have a lot of opportunity to relax. Trauma can make you where you don't even know how to relax. You could go and someone could, you could pay to have someone give you a massage and be tense the entire time and not even be able to do because you come from trauma that didn't give you the opportunity to know what relaxing actually is. You don't even know what that is. It's foreign to you. Somebody tells you to relax, you laugh, but I'm be like, I am relaxed. This is me. You know, it's 24/7. I'm high alert. What you looking around at? Why? I've been in situations like the people around me that know I could go out. Well, I'm not somebody who go out too often. Of course, you know that one. So I could go out. I could be out with friends. I could be out with my, my car group, whatever. We in a in a lounge, wherever we at. We out on the strip, whatever. And there's a lot of people come around. I do well with a lot of people. And no, I do well with a lot of people's person. And I do well speaking with people, especially if I'm familiar. But I don't do well as far as being around a lot of people. But me, I'm one of the people where it's just like, nah, I gotta know what's going on around me. I have to know what's going on around me because I've been in situations where if not, something happened and I want to be prepared because I come from always having to be prepared. Yes. I'm not gonna sit around and just say, okay, well, everything will be fine. My assumption is something's going wrong, and when it does go wrong, I'm going to be ready. So while everyone else is in here drinking at the time of their life, I'm on my pivot. So in case anything does happen, I'm not scrambling to figure it out. So in the same sense, like trauma can be a good thing in that light. You think positive of that, the negative of that is everyone else is having a good time. Yeah. And because of your trauma, you can't even enjoy it. You can't. So it's real. That hypervigilance, that's huge. It is. You said you mentioned this earlier, emotional dysregulation. Unprocessed trauma can lead to sudden mood swing, outbursts of anger, or excessive emotional reactivity in response to seemingly minor triggers. So it's like we in a group and somebody's like, I can't believe that they're tripping out like that. That's so simple. But to me, that's a violation. Yep. Because I haven't been violated before. So you're looking at it as simple. I'm looking at it as like, how dare you? Yeah. Yeah. And so when you've experienced trauma, you have to relearn how to regulate your emotions because once you've experienced trauma, your emotions are whack. They're out of whack. Your norm is no longer your norm. So now you respond to things and you think, oh, well, this is the norm. Because, yeah, this is what you see throughout your whole family. But no, your family was jacked up. Yep. It's your norm. It's your norm. It's not norm. So how would you, explain your experience with that emotional dysregulation? I feel like it's just your life experiences sculpt you. So if you had a life full of trauma, you're gonna be sculpted and cultivated around trauma. That's what's gonna be the basis of who you are. So rescuing, helping. I've always done that. And I can't help. And honestly, like we're probably so you typically find yourself in situations where you are the rescuer. But you're the rescuer that needs to be rescued. God, say that again. Rescuer that needs to be rescued. That's what. But at the end of the day, it's your norm. It's like you say, this is the norm. So that's what you've seen. I'm the mom, and you've watched me. I've rescued. I've always, it's never been ever, I just want to help. Yeah, I remember when I asked her at age 13. I said, if I die today or tomorrow, what would somebody remember me for? You said,
Mama, they gonna remember you as the woman that gave away everything. I said, what? You said a woman gave away everything because you give away everything. You always gotta help somebody.
Yeah.
But that's all I knew.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, when you come from nothing and when you come from not having it, you feel so bad for people when they don't have it.
Side of
It's
that. Mhm.
thing. Oh, what, you can't pay your rent? No, don't worry. I'll help you. What you need? Your car payment? Don't worry, I got you.
But it also ties into the inability to be able to receive. And at this stage in my life, I'm struggling with that. Like on a personal level. Being able to receive positive pouring or being in a place where you overboard.
To learn.
And you had to learn, or like you said, emotional regulation. You said emotional regulation from a standpoint that is not regular. But what if you were never taught to regulate emotions to begin with?
Yeah, because some people think, some parents think you suck it up. You gotta go home. Just go.
Real man, you could.
You sit there and
Yeah, right. Especially like from the man's perspective.
yeah,
right?
that's what they tell us black mothers to tell our black boys.
Mhm.
And I have a problem with that because
Mhm.
I feel like just as well as you have a sister, and just as well as I could tell her, allow her to share her emotions and be able to be free to express her emotions, why shouldn't I let my boys be able to share their emotions? I got 3 boys. I should be able to let each one of them, they should be able to come to me just as my daughters can and say, you know what, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time, mama. And I should be able to let them be able to vent. It's this thing about men not being able to be weak is crazy. It's crazy.
It's so funny though because it ties back into what we talked about earlier, which was making yourself available. A lot of these men come from making themselves emotionally available and being open and expressive about how they feel. And so now that I've been open and expressive how they feel, you my spouse and you didn't get your way. And now you're upset because you didn't get your way. What's the first thing you gonna throw in my face?
Yeah.
The first thing you gonna throw in my face, you was just over there crying. You was doing this, and that. So in your weak place,
That's good, son. That's
they
good.
will take advantage of that.
That's
Of
good.
your
son.
vulnerability.
That's true.
So that's what you have to look at it too. Is everything changes. Like
That was good.
it's reality though, especially when you
Because
take.
a lot of times we don't think about it. That when we think about, we are quick as a woman. We quick to judge men and be like, you don't do this, you don't do that. Like, why you just can't? But then the minute you do it, and then I don't get my way, I come back and I come back vengeful. It's not fair to you because you just did what you should have done, which was be vulnerable with me, with your mate.
But the expectation is set, and to speak to that, like you said, our culture for sure. Like this, we know for a fact, black culture.
Suck it up.
Yeah, and even in, we're not aware of trauma, we're not aware of triggers. Therapy, mental health is frowned upon. These are things that you don't do. What are you doing? Or I can say from different backgrounds too. I know specifically in our culture, but people that come from a military background, they typically come from that same.
Yes.
It's that same notion
With a lot of them.
that we're dealing with them day in and day out, and these are people who have suffered for years and years to come, and because they felt like they couldn't express what they did because suck it off. You'll be all right.
You're in the military.
Like, well, what are you crying about? And so it's like at the end of the day, that's where a lot of that emotional regulate the lack thereof of that emotional regulation. That's where a lot of it's essential.
So we talk about this last one and then we'll move. Clinginess or detachment. Some trauma survivors may become overly dependent on their partner due to fear of abandonment, while others may push their partners away to maintain a sense of control. I I push. I push away to maintain control. Because for me, if I don't get too attached, then I don't have to worry about it. If you leave, I'm like, whatever.
It is. And of course, we're very similar in that, man. That's just my idea. Okay, if I don't allow you close, and I was thinking about that recently too, where you like I said, you miss out on a lot of people. You miss out on good people. you miss on bad people too. So it's two sides of the coin. But unless you're close to me, I don't have to worry about these things. If I'm not, exposing myself to you in a manner to where you have that level of access to me, then I don't have to worry about dealing with the repercussions of me allowing you that access. So why it's not stopping before it even starts. And so that's the thing, but that's a trauma reaction because it could be somebody that can be very beneficial to you in the long run, whether it be intimate aspect or on a friendship level or whatever the case may be. But because you're not allowing that access due to your past trauma, you won't know.
It's learning your healers from your hurters.
That's it.
And so I think that's what it is because we mix out. We mix out because we put everybody in one box. We don't know the healers from the hurters. But I think once we start, and we will talk about on the next episode how to deal with these issues so that they can, our viewers can learn ways to navigate this healing journey and they can end up being better people, not bitter people. Once again, this is Dr. Gail James and Kelvin Samuel from Trauma to Triumph. Tune in next time.